We don't have to go right now, but just so I don't forget. Alicia's out for today, so I apologize as you're stuck with me.
Well, it's 3:31, so we'll just call the meeting to order. Quick roll call.
Just do it over.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Nolan? Here. Lisa?
Here.
Maddie?
Here.
Carolyn?
Here.
Keith is here. Wanda? Here. And Amanda Dan? Here. Okay. The next is business from the public. Did we receive anything?
None.
Okay. Moving on to approval of the September 2022 minutes. Flip over to Ellen.
Two, 5 minutes.
Yeah, we have a motion, we have a second? I'll second. No one second. All right. We have a motion on the floor, all in favor of approving the minutes? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved. Thank you. Scheduled business. Discussion item 1, upcoming local art events. Anything up? Anybody got anything? It's Albany, I don't think there are any. All right. Okay. Discussion item 2, change of gallery exhibition use proposal.
I didn't do anything.
Okay.
I wish.
So basically, this is a proposal, from me to the commission, looking to change exhibition time, length of the exhibition. The original, resolution that created us, does not specify, monthly or anything. It just says that, which is, it. It just says overseeing, rotating and changing exhibits. So, the monthly thing, I've been doing that now for what, 3 years, almost 3 years. And the first 2 years were easy. Everybody just was coming in. I could, but it took work to go solicit the artists, find the artists, solicit them, see if they're interested, and all that. And it just takes a lot of time. So I was hoping that you might consider changing that to a 3-month stint or a quarterly exhibit. I don't know how long exhibits last at the museum, but I know other galleries sometimes will do more than 1 month of the exhibits. We could also try 2 months instead, if people are thinking that. I remember, back in the Cretaceous period, when I was doing art, that often I would send my pieces out for long periods of time. And the benefits would be that time would be significantly reduced. Or if someone else would like to take over the position to consider monthly, by 2. If the first Fridays continue, we can either, it would reduce the cost, or we could decide to do a different type of reception, maybe with types of food, or maybe we could afford a musician or musicians at that point. And also, I know that, if you're like, my calendar is pretty packed. And listen, I learned about the exhibit, but I can't make it there because it's only gonna be there for 3 weeks, or by the time I find out. So I'm hoping too that would be time for people to, be able to see the exhibit. And then also, we could have time to promote it.
Discussion.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, thank you for all the work that you put in with this. I know it's hard for you. It would be hard for anybody. I really like this idea, because I agree that it will reduce, your load, whoever it is, doing it. My first thought when it comes to the first Fridays is this, what we can do, if this works out, if we change it to quarterly, for first Fridays, what we can do is if we make sure that we have at least 3 different artists on display each month, we can feature a different one of the 3 artists for the first Friday event. So if we have each artist assigned to a different first Friday, we could then maybe give the artist like even more time to talk about their pieces, because they would be like the only artist that's there that night. And maybe they could bring in a couple extra pieces just for them. But then we would still be able to participate in every first Friday, but without having to change out the exhibit every single month.
I kind of,
That was just my initial thought when I did this with you.
Patty?
I sort of like that idea. I mean, I generally agree that Lisa, you're just, spending too much time and getting too much frustration in regards to changing artists every single month. And it doesn't give a lot of time for people to come in and view the work. So, but I do think we're gaining some traction with First Fridays, and I would hate to see that go away if there's confusion about when is it not. So Carolyn, I think your suggestion might be a good one, is that since we usually have multiple artists exhibit per month or quarterly now, if we decide to do that, then we could feature a different one each first Friday. And also we should pay attention, and I don't know if this comes up later in the discussion, you can let me know, but we should pay attention to when First Friday falls and maybe decide not to do it in a particular month because of things like July 4th weekend, so we should view that as well. If we decide to continue with them monthly, then take into consideration holidays and perhaps other events. That's all.
One info share and one question. So the info share is, we're doing a space study here in City Hall. This building was built in 1996, and we're needs education a little bit. So this hallway area might be altered at some point in the future. We don't have any money to hold for it right now. But I just want to let you know that it's possible that this hallway section, and especially the no man's land area, that is definitely probably gonna go away. Don't know what that looks like, but even just provide an egress for staff that is protected enough in one hallway is needed. So there might be smaller square footage sometime in the future. I will let you guys know more details come available in the process of space study. So the second question is, our grant money technically only takes us through December, which means we have 2 more. So if we want to continue to talk about receptions, that's going to need to be something that this group decides. Do we want to use the money that's been fundraised to continue to offset receptions, or would we rather have that money go someplace else? We still have some excess because we don't have the $60, like, we haven't been playing the musician. So like, there is some that we could probably start to go into 2025, but the $1,800 grant isn't gonna be one we're gonna get again, so we have to figure out how we want to fund. Do we wanna make this a priority moving forward for reception?
A musician, what is their cost for?
Cause they $60 a month.
I don't remember what the costs were, what is the guard cost? We did some initial purchase and then it'd be the refreshment cost.
Yeah.
It's not huge, but
I mean, we probably at least got January and February in the bag if we wanted it.
Yeah.
I can double check that with,
Security and.
at this point, because we bought the finance already, we have, and we have things like the speaker stuff on hand, so that.
A company to sponsor, well, I know you don't like that because they have sponsors for our mayor and everything, but.
my hope would be to ask the council to incorporate this into their budget in the next cycle, just helpful, like. That would be my hope, but I pessimist, so I think we should have a plan in case that doesn't happen.
And as for the,
Sorry, I derailed this a little bit, but thinking about an additional kind of be together.
Every time I talk to people about the mission and I tell them that we don't get funding from the city, they're just floored. People don't.
after this, I'll play devil's advocate, I'm pretty anxious, but I know as an artist. I probably would like to have my work hanging in a city hall for a quarter of a year. I would do that for a museum. Do that for maybe a prominent galleries one, but if I have multiple shows a year where I need my artwork, then I probably wouldn't even apply to a foyer style gallery in City Hall. That's some of your artists that can do.
Would you think 2 months would be? But you,
Yeah, probably, but I mean, I guess 3 months. I guess it, really depends on people's schedules, the artists you talk with. They are, that's how they make their living, they show, they have multiple shows a year, they. Have the means to hang every quarter of a year,
and so they'll say no,
yeah.
and then I move on to the, another artist, but I think too, there's multiple layers to this too. It's the way it all kind of happens that also difficult. So let's say now I'll be starting for January. I have to start now because holidays are coming and a lot of people, I can't get anybody to respond to the holidays. So, it's the timing of things also, because let's say an artist applies, but then we have to wait till the meeting. If the meeting doesn't happen, then I have to scramble to find somebody else to fill in. It's a timing issue. It's like you're always feeding the, I don't know how to say that. You're always feeding it constantly because, and then a lot too is how many pieces do the artists have? So, and then of course the issue about First Fridays, can we afford to keep that up? It's $1, about 100 and something a month between the security guard and refreshments and things of that nature, so $100.
$100 a month.
$1,200 a year more.
Which is what we got in the 15, I think. So it costs more than at first because of the musician.
Oh,
And I don't have, I just want to make sure Nolan has a chance to finish his point, if he has anything else, but then I'll get you.
yeah, the worst they'll say is no, but yeah.
Matt, what do you got?
I'm sorry that I'm still not getting sound very well.
Sorry, Maddie.
Sometimes I can hear and sometimes I can't. And one of the things I didn't hear was, Kim, you were talking about this space or that space not being available or maybe available, and I'm not sure what you said.
So if you're outside of our normal meeting room, that hallway, that might change in the future. We might not have access to display in this portion of the hallway. The main vestibule area and lighted space out there, totally fine. Just potentially this corridor might be impacted at some point in the future.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So
This is a proposal, so we made it to business discussion 2.
Okay.
It needs to change the gallery from monthly rotations to potentially quarterly or whatever we negotiate. So I don't know, was anybody else here when we used to do it only every 2 months? Like we would keep displays up for 2 months. Okay, so we changed it after that. Wow. I've been here too long. So yes, this was a thing, where it was 6 shows a year, basically. Sometimes it would extend longer because what they ran into was a similar issue. If meetings didn't happen and they didn't prove it, suddenly these shows go from 2 months to 3, 4 months. And I know that early feedback, once we started getting 2-monthly rotations from staff, was really positive. Oh my gosh, this is so much nicer than that, because we were seeing the same stuff over and over again. And it was often also, it didn't help that when we were doing those 2-month blocks, I heard sometimes they would stretch into 4 months, was that it was same, like it would be the class or guild would take up like every November, December, like, and it was always the same rotation, like it got very locked in. And so we've become much more vibrant. But I do know it's so much work. I wonder if a different suggestion, we could attempt to keep the monthly rotation, but maybe we break down what the gallery chair does. So there's one person coordinating and one person responsible for the actual hanging. So like one person spread those duties out to make it less on you, because it's a lot. I'm John Rex, managing a gallery, right? Like, so maybe that could be an alternative proposal to try and lessen the amount that's on your plate from it. Keep them up there.
Look, it does break down quite a bit, maybe more than that.
Yeah.
One is soliciting the artists, finding artists to solicit, emailing those artists, finding their contact information, going to shows and picking up business cards. So that, just finding artists. There was a point, I think, in the commission where everybody just sat back and waited for people to apply. And that was the problem. You can't do that because you have no way of being able to line things up. So there's the soliciting and finding artists and contacting them. There's then there's there's paperwork that goes with all of that. And then there's the installation times, which, and the de-installation, which is kind of a joke, but the installation does take sometimes anywhere from an hour to 3 hours, depending on how needy the person is who maybe hasn't done this before. And then, the last part of it is just the sales aspect, which they really take care of, I know. But then there's also First Friday. So there's a lot of components there. If I can have help with not having to do First Friday, that would be great. And then also, I don't know if you can hear me, Madeline. Okay, and then also with the installations, that would be great.
Have we ever put out a call for this? I mean, I've seen it.
We used to do it twice a year, and say we were accepting applications through this time 30 days in advance. And we stopped getting people, and so that's why the group decided to kind of go on this like rotation of always looking. With that said, if you wanna go back and we say, you know, every October to November, we put a call out for the year 2025. You have to get it in by November 1st in order to be considered, and then we take a look at who's applied at that point and schedule for the full year, like you can totally do that. So this is a different commission sitting around this table than that was 4 or 5 years ago, so like we can certainly revisit this. It doesn't have to be the way you do it right now.
Mandy, do you still have your hand up or is that? Okay, just checking, okay.
I like that idea, because then we can schedule out, I think we had talked in the past about themes for different months, like for June, doing a great artist. And other various themes, if we schedule out the whole year in advance, that might make that a whole lot easier to do. And then we would also be able to schedule who might be available to man the first Fridays if we have it laid out for the whole year in advance.
Well, you kind of do already, right? You used to. Yeah, I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, has been difficult. I don't know what it is about this year, but I've had people, drop out, no show. And that's never happened before in the first 2 years. I mean, I'm sure it's happened before, but in the 2 years previous, it didn't happen at all. So I don't know what it was. Maybe it's just something you have to kind of live with, that, you know, but how would the call to artists from, how did that go out?
So the newspaper doesn't run any of that stuff anymore. So it would be us putting it out on social media and website, and then really just word of mouth. It would be this group and any other artist groups that you know sending it out and hustling and saying, we need them by X date.
Well, there's there's websites dedicated to this, like you can say. For the artists, it's free. I can go to. Touch my phone, but man, I can't remember the name of it. Well, there's a couple sites dedicated.
Platforms, like I think that they do that when Eileen looks for work.
Yeah.
She'll go to some of these platforms. You do it all the time.
Yeah, and it's free for artists, I'm guessing, it's probably, I don't know the name of the movie, so I'm guessing if you submit something, you pay them, but that's probably like a one. You pay them, yeah, because it's for the job seekers, but can they go? At least a few months, because when I go look for calls, sometimes I'm like, oh, it's next week, man, I wish I would have seen that a month ago.
Is it something that we wanna do a rolling then like June, like July through June to follow the fiscal year? Theoretically, we have people that we're gonna be pushing through, maybe that would get us through the first 6 months of the year and then give us time to advertise, push it out there. Define what months we wanna have. I mean, it doesn't need to be a fiscal year, but.
Yeah,
Kim, doesn't Parks put out a newsletter?
We do, we could put it in. Wouldn't be able to activate, but we would potentially be able to put it in our connection letter, which we get a lot of boosts for our classes and stuff like that way. We just sell advertising space, so I'm like.
Well, could we put in a little box or something in there that, you know, suggests that people apply?
I could figure something out. It just won't be able to be like a quarter page or a half page, like advertisement, it would be more so. Sorry.
But I mean, even social media.
Sorry.
And association you share with
Lynn Benton Cultural Coalition.
those people.
I've not been confident in we'll put up a call to artists and we'll just sit back and wait.
It's just been.
I do like the platform idea, and I do like what you're saying. So maybe between those things,
I have a question. One thing that I have kind of noticed is like with First Fridays and hanging stuff up, all that. It seems like there's, since this group has become more active, there's a lot more hours that we need people to volunteer from. Is there like a rule that says the volunteers have to be our commission members? Because I think the idea of maybe trying to just recruit some more volunteers is a good idea, like, because I think that like with the First Fridays, like, yeah, they're fun, but like. I think other than maybe one, like, you know, we've all been at a lot of them, but like. Why could it not be that we had one commissioner for each shift and then we put a call out for a different volunteer? I mean, I'm just thinking, cause like same thing, I don't know, I just feel like maybe it wouldn't feel like it was so much. Lisa, and you know, and everybody, if we had some hands, because it does, I mean, we might be able to find somebody who's always wanted to learn how to hang stuff in a gallery, you know what I mean? And they can shadow you for a month and then they wanna do it for, like, I don't know, but I feel like I see a lot of people from Albany, like volunteering at like the Corporate Center and stuff like that, like, why not volunteer here? So I don't know how we would maybe look into that, but I think there's only what, 8 of us? Like, that's a lot, when 7, that's a lot when, you know, we're doing First Friday every single month, or when we have meetings every single month, like, which I love being a part of it, but I do see how if you're trying to do all of that, it's just, and then I feel like it starts to be like a little, you start to build up like a little resentment, like, you know, like. I just think that I totally understand wanting to spread these out. To me, 90 days seems like a lot, like it's like they do every other month, but even then, like, I feel like we need more people. We need people that are willing to help, like.
One or the other or all.
Or all of it, that's what I'm saying, like, we need to figure out a way to lessen this for you for sure.
Yeah.
And then also, I don't see why we can't put a call out to volunteers too, like, hey, do you wanna come chat with people at First Friday, you know, like my daughter has been to, I think, almost every single one, and now she's like.
Does she like her?
She likes coming, but like last week, or the last one, she was just kind of being tired, she's like, well, we have to go though, because we have Maddie to end up alone. I was like, okay, but I think that, you know, it was like, and I obviously don't mind, but I think like there might be another 13, 14, 15-year-old that is interested in the world and wants to volunteer, like. So that's my.
Can I add to that? I love that idea. I think that there might be, there might be something there with getting, like high schoolers.
Yeah.
That might need volunteer hours for whatever service project or school project or whatever that they're doing. And it may be a way for them to gain volunteer hours. We can also spin it as like an occupational, type thing, like you were saying, learning how to hang the,
Like it's a skill.
we can spin that as a occupational educational opportunity for being a
Yeah, my concern that I would add, like, the caveat to that is I don't want it to then be like, sure, we're gonna get you some volunteers, but now spend the next 6 months training these volunteers. Maybe more, that's your job to like help with this volunteer program, like, it's more like, I don't know, like,
Right, I mean, keep them in everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
We can find that volunteers, it's more. But sometimes it's more work just managing the volunteer situation.
Right, and I feel like trying to find something where like, I don't know, I feel the like. I feel that you're getting.
And I enjoyed the heck out of it, but there are things going forward that. We can keep this level up.
Yeah.
That's my concern, right, dropping the ball.
Yeah.
Do that. So,
I think of the activities, I think one of the harder things to share responsibility for is the coordinating the artist and then band, getting that all lined out, because that's just so much thinking process when I'm trying to hand that off. But the installation and the first Friday, maybe next time we should come with because we know what installation, what it should be, right? We know what day of installation day.
Yeah, oh, yeah. It's always the first, around the first of the month.
Yeah.
If it's a fall weekend, of course, I move it. So,
Yeah, so we know that on first Friday, maybe we just make a calendar looking at the next, we'll say 14 months from the rest of this year and the end of next year. And we asked everybody to make sure we have 7 of us, we all have to take 2 shifts, plan somewhere, whether it's the first Friday or the installation day. And we create a more clear rotation, and we can look at it and you can put it on your calendar up to a year in advance. You might take the last couple of 2025 if you want, but that way.
has anyone signed up for the next first Friday, which is November? I think Maddie signed up.
Oh, no, I'm not.
No, Maddie's not signed up.
Busy is the beginning of it.
Well, yeah. Important election in the history of our country, you know.
Sorry, give me a second. No, Maddie's out, it's Lisa.
Okay.
I can do that, I can do that.
He,
You want to?
beginning or later shift.
I can do
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It was like,
I love
that. Yeah, maybe, yeah, I can do it.
okay. I'm not gonna sign on because I know that, doesn't this one fall on the first? Yeah, one of my kids has something going on that day, but I will make sure to either drop cookies off or get them to someone ahead of time. Sounds good, and if something changes with the schedule, I will be there.
You know, when you don't have to be there, I'm 100% sure if I'll be in town, but.
Maybe each of us could like try to find one responsible person we know who would maybe be willing to be in our like volunteer pool. So that it's like, maybe we don't try to like say, okay, every Friday you're gonna be here, I get that, because that's great. But like, hey, or even once a month, but hey, we have this list of people that said they're willing, so if he's the only one signed up. I have stuff going on, you have election, you have stuff going on. And you know what I mean, then we can call and say, hey, you mentioned that you might be with this, would you be willing to meet our Keith there and, decide to have like it?
That's a very reasonable goal, right?
Right.
By one person.
Right, and it's 2 hours, and we can say, hey, can we put you on our list of, for 2 hours, like, I'm sorry, but if we can all come up with hours, most people can, like.
So we all would have to learn where the stuff is,
Right.
how to get it out, how to set up the table.
Then we all should know anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, we want to be
Here you go.
Gary's word suddenly.
So, we can do that after a meeting or, call a meeting a little early, we can do that.
I don't see why we
Because in November, do you know where stuff is?
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
We see each other all the time.
Typically, you have to get the security guard when they go back there and get everything for you.
Well, load them, or, yeah.
Did I do a better job of loading the cart with everything?
I wasn't here last night, so I don't know.
Okay, I'm kidding, that was our phone with me. And the speaker worked? It did. Yeah,
Feels vindicated.
started at 4:58.
So that's all I've done.
Okay, so well,
We'll have to revisit.
let's revisit it because it kind of resolves the workload for you, but it doesn't necessarily resolve the, make sure we have artists. Sorry. But we're now continuing with the monthly rotations and taking some of the workload off is enough of a help.
Yeah, yeah.
Would it be easier if we changed it to every 2 months for the time being and just tell the artists that we have scheduled,
hey, you'll be up for 2 months instead of one.
Well, I have November, I have 4 people, but there's not very many pieces. There's only like 20.
Do we have anything for December?
So we're working on a quilt show. Quilt show, okay, so.
And then is there anything for January? So could we just say that for the artists that are coming in November and December, then? Just say, hey, you're gonna stay up for 2 months. Would that make things easier?
It depends on artists, what.
Yeah, but okay, maybe planning like a holiday. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, filters, they have lots of things they like to go do, especially this time of year, so.
Okay, so
You got the rest of the year figured out.
I do.
okay, so then we don't have anything starting in January?
No.
So can we say then maybe starting in January? Maybe tell people 2 months? Would that
I mean,
be,
that's up to the commission whether or not you want.
do we need a motion?
Yes, if you want to propose the change.
Okay.
Well, is it even written?
But we, if you default, I think we would take a motion.
Okay, then I will make a motion that we change our rotation to every 2 months instead of every 1 month, beginning January 2025. And let artists know that starting in January, if their pieces are displayed, it will be for the duration of 2 months instead of 1 month, to make things easier. Shopping me.
Motion, do we have a second? Yes. So we have to have a second before we can have conversation.
I can't, I'm not.
I'll second.
Thank you.
My question was, what if that ends up being that like in June, when we're already tentatively thinking about having a Pride show, it would be on the off month. And we had like, so if we do January, then March, May, the May one was supposed to stay up May and June and not do another one till July, but we've already kind of talked about doing the Pride show in June. So how would we kind of?
We said. But
Oh, that happened.
Okay,
Their commission completely changed, my understanding of the HRC.
cute.
And the organization last year was.
They went.
I remember that. And we can do Pride.
Yes.
Like if we had like, I don't know.
Well, usually they're a joint show of some kind anyway.
Okay.
I usually have more than one artist.
Okay, yeah,
And so it would just, if anybody does, apply and show up and pay, great.
okay.
But then I'll have another artist there too, because what happened was.
Alright, that makes sense. Yeah.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, then all in favor of the proposed change to the gallery schedule, say aye. All opposed, same sign, aye. Against actually.
Okay,
Maddie, are you a yes or a no?
I said aye.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Is there next thing? It doesn't matter, so I'll say yes, yes.
So that was the.
Okay.
So yeah, the change to the. we tried- that was everybody.
I would have liked to have heard your discussion.
Yeah, you can have it briefly. No, I agree with that. I remember one of these before.
Yeah. Okay.
And I agree with Nolan's comments. But it's good. I think one of the reasons we've seen more artists apply is that it's a short term. Because one of the complaints we get from artists is that they don't sell anything here.
Mhm.
So leaving it here for a month is fine. still I'm not super happy that I would.
We can always.
I voted yes to try to keep.
Yeah,
everybody-
exactly, exactly.
Paid to do this.
And in future months, we can always have pre-information on the floor.
We get through, let's say, January, February. And March and April, we're just having no takers or no, it's not looking good, then we'll have to visit it again.
We can just find out the degree of policy stuff, so this is just the question as we go. I kind of think anyways.
Moving on to discussion item 3, Art Commission share point.
Sure. So technically, we're not able to pull it up, but Arts Commission is going to be the first commission to have their own shared space. Where we are going to be able to put all of the artists that have applied. So instead of clicking on these links, you can go in there and you can pull up that artist. You'll have an archive for all the artists that we've looked at. We'll have our calendar up there, we'll have a volunteer page, we'll have
So this,
proposal. It'll essentially be a shared drive that you will have access to using your own email addresses. We just can't have back and forth communication on there, so we have disabled the Teams chat function because that messes up public rules. But when we went out, it said error couldn't show. So, Alosha worked really hard on them. We can add more items as needed, but this is kind of be your storage space that if you ever have an Arts Commission question, you'll be able to go up there and find it.
I was reading this in the.
It's just that we can give you access to info. We can have a running list of artists that we have on there so that you guys can see who we have. Like, I think it could be a useful tool. We'll still post our agendas and all that stuff on the general cities page, but you'll have more tools at your availability to say, here's what our public art inventory looks like, and here's what it's named and all that stuff. Instead of having to go and look 3,000 places, you'll have it all in one area. So you're gonna be getting it stuff. Cause we know it's a pain in the butt, especially when the links don't work to go up and look at the artwork. So we were like, how can we give you all access so that you don't have to use Alosha or myself as a gatekeeper? So we will hopefully continue to build out. If there's anything that you can think of that you would want on there, let us know. But otherwise, hopefully next time we'll be able to go through more in-depth exploration. And that's all I got.
So is that like a, depends, like editing access, like Lisa's,
It's a little good myself.
that's it, okay.
So communication, email, go.
That helps clear us up from multiple people working on the same documents, potentially having offline communication. So you'll still funnel stuff through us. We'll update it as real time as we possibly can, but then you should be able to see it. We can do downloadable PDFs of the flyers, we like to do good stuff, so that way it's more things that you're to.
Great.
Thank you for being here for it, really excited.
Moving schedule business, discussion for public art guidelines. Okay.
Alright, so me again. So, we talked about it, we looked over the long packet, it's like 30 pages. I originally filled it out and maybe like 8 pages per meeting, and I love us and I love our group, we do not move through anything fast. We use a whole 90 minutes, other commissions typically are in and out. So I want to be respectful of time.
You have a minute of transport.
I've been trying to figure out the other ones that I've been. So
Scheduled for 2, it did like 45 minutes.
So, I'm gonna be respectful, so I think over the next 6 months, I'll put like 1 item or 2 if they're short. So it'll be like less than, like about 3 pages that folks would have, be asked to review ahead of time, come with comments, ready for discussion. But I think we probably can't devote more than like 15 minutes per meeting to this because we've got other shit to do. So, and kind of with that in mind, for scheduling and all administrative purposes. Our goal is, we need to be done by 5. So I apologize. We do it most of the time, but every now and then we go a little bit past. But just for administrative reasons, I apologize. I have a child that I have to pick up and push up. Another schedule, so thank you very much for your patience. I'll do it. Yes. Yeah, thank you. And that is all.
Gentlemen?
You have leftover cookies from the reception if you want to.
Yes, we'll do this. A5, fundraising and marketing materials. Maddie.
Okay, sorry, I'm only getting about every third word when anybody talks, so hopefully I'm tracking okay. Basically, I wanted to bring up a couple of things. Keith, you're going to be presenting to the council. You're probably going to talk about that soon. So I just wanted to jump in and say, as far as marketing materials, it would be really helpful if we can get in our group a brochure finalized and printed and somehow head in that direction, so that if we're out and about in the community and doing fundraisers or talking to others about the Arts Commission and our function and the shows, that we have something to hand out. And following that thought, gosh, sorry, I don't have any water in here and I'm choking. Wanda, who's not here, it doesn't look like, is she online at all?
She's not.
Okay, she's been taking photographs, a lot of photographs of our receptions, which I thought maybe you, Keith, could use in your presentation to the council, as well as if we decided to do a brochure or some sort of marketing materials. And sorry, you guys, I'm gonna have to leave and go find some water. So I'll be back.
We'll see ya.
Okay,
Take your time.
take your time.
Cats are useless. It's like sitting on her shoulder.
Yes, so I worked on brochure a while ago, and Matt kind of readjusted because he was.
He's thinking rack card, because that's typically what we see back there. So I'll reconnect with him. I apologize. I dropped the ball on that one.
I'm forward to it, see what we can do there.
I did see that rap card and I didn't see any arts commission rap card.
So it's just a two-sided.
That dude. We did a rack card. So they have a-
Okay. Sorry, that makes me think.
What do we have these for?
So ours is like mission statement. It has some of the activities that we've done. We managed to gather here. First Fridays, the way that we used to do the dumpster wrap, the public art installations that we support.
Could it include a blurb of a call for artists?
It'll also have a QR code, it'll be in the link for the application.
Okay, good.
If you want to go to Playfest in Eugene on Friday.
Okay.
To look at. I have nothing to hand. I have nothing to give them for them to know that's an actually on the Arts Commission and not just some Looney Tunes.
Museum.
Oh, yes, okay.
Oh, sorry, guys.
Quality print.
Don't apologize, you're fine.
Yeah, it won't be glossy and fancy, but it'll be something.
Okay.
And sorry, I know I missed a couple things, but I was choking to death.
I was just reminding people of the brochure. We had a discussion. Brochure.
Okay. My other thought is we should be thinking that if we want to do the March flea market again, as a fundraiser, that is in March at Lynn County Fairgrounds. So, I mean, I think it's a good opportunity again for at least to get out in front of people and talk about what we do. Maybe even grab some artist names while we're at it. Thoughts or feelings? Because I figured I could go ahead and apply for us if you're interested.
But
Yeah, I think I agree.
What's that?
I think we should do it,
Okay,
but that's just me.
yeah, do you want to do,
It looks good.
Yeah, what?
okay, I'll move
Play.
forward. I'll move forward in getting information from Josephine and see if we can get us on the sign up list.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah,
Does the brochure have information on how to apply?
It's got a QR code.
I believe it does, yes.
Okay,
The brag, I think one of the things Matt put it, so that way there's a direct link, so if our language changes, it's not. We decide to go 2 months to 4 months or anything like that, it's not written, it takes them to the website. We're in concrete though. Nothing different.
Page.
Yeah, so Matt designed a wrap card, just a two-sided sheet, and I'm pretty sure it's a trifold, that and shared around here. Yeah, that I can print the trifold, and it has the artist information or the application information on it, so. Yeah.
and I kind of forgot another piece and I apologize. So at the last reception, Mayor Alex and I were having quite a discussion. And he brought up that there was some funding most likely from, is it the Oregon? I'm not gonna remember their name.
Communities Foundation,
Yeah.
the
And
Oregon one.
Community Foundation. or
Yeah.
communities.
and that period was going to be coming up where we should be thinking about approaching them for a grant. And one of the things that he thought was that the aging art behind the dais or where the council sits, where the city council members sit, is kind of old and maybe a little shabby at this point. And maybe that's an art project, a public art project that we could procure funding from that organization fund, is to have artists submit their designs for a new backdrop or piece of art within the city council chambers. Carolyn?
That's a great point, and that just got me thinking about that art behind the dais, and I think it's a tapestry, right? It might just need to be cleaned.
It's true.
It might just be covered in dust that you can't see through. So maybe we need to try to, before we think about replacing it altogether, maybe we need to see if it just needs a little TLC.
It has been hanging since 1990.
It probably could use a little vacuuming and
Maybe the library would like to have it for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing to say that we can't rotate, share
Yeah.
a public art around either.
Yes, well, and that was a conversation at one point that kind of got left behind with the inventory of the earth and the rotations and maybe things like all of this, and it's a big labor on top of the other labors to make sure that somebody's gone through, but absolutely going through cataloging every piece that's here. If we have that,
Yeah.
and also documenting their status and if they need something like a cleaning. But that does, depending on how you do, you have to be very careful. Everybody's seen the art restoration gone wrong. The Jesus that just like the screen, because anything that was done incorrectly and now it is not, it is like a modern piece of art. It happens, but the museum actually does not do restoration work. We do preservation, which is and storage and things like that, but restoration is a very select skill set and often very expensive.
Yeah.
So depending on what it needs.
So we can't just like throw the towel.
Well, I would say, you don't.
Yeah. Like I do.
If folks are familiar with beverage and know what the care looks like, then absolutely take lead on it, but I don't know that, so I don't know if steam cleaning it is an option.
Yeah.
I don't know how to held together, like if there's a glue in it, you can bounce to help it stay certain.
Yeah,
like
that would be important.
You have to know those of the piece before we do something to it, because otherwise you could accidentally steam clean the glue out of it if it's like glued or something like that. And it would be a gross mess and ruined. The thing is, but you did.
I just want to reply to Maddie's suggestion.
Yeah.
Because we've learned in the past. Trying to get grants for things like that, you have to have an idea.
You need to place off the, you have to have a proposal, like if we were the ABC grant. Which we actually just put in for his project at the museum. But. Yeah, you typically need a lot of front end work to have your information to make it a successful grant. So that is the thing going into that, and I would be curious which grant he's referring to. I know we have stuff coming out.
They can present it at city council on Monday. So, or they're coming, I think, on Wednesday, so it might be fresh in his mind as to here's a community group that's coming that might be a good fit. I think that might be why it's fresh.
Yeah,
There is a.
so that's what he was saying, so coming.
Yeah.
But
They get it to my presentation.
So, back to the tapestry behind the dais. Is there a way for us to find out, what material it made from, or could we contact the artist if they're still and what their recommendations are? Cleaning or?
I think somebody that might be able to help, at least with the cleaning aspect.
Okay.
And I'll talk with her, and she's part of the quilting group that.
And it is part of the city collection, so I think that if it is damaged, then.
I know that
You know.
the request, the council,
What was the request?
to change.
To change it?
Yeah.
Okay, then do we need to maybe just try to clean it with the hopes that it gets clean?
I think we
And not
leverage it. Here's a reason you need to give us a budget. These things change periodically.
That's a great idea,
If
Keith.
you would like us to help do that, we would love to.
yeah.
I love that idea.
I like totally agree with like maybe it's not the greatest, most beautiful, most clean thing. But as like someone from Albany, I feel like I would almost be a little miffed if I found out that like we shifted to work on this project for city council chambers when we haven't been able to do some of the other community projects that we want to do. I get like it's ugly to look at, but like, man, we put a lot into like the mural project and that didn't come to fruition, which for no fault of anybody, but like, do we have like a master things we want to do, but we don't have time to do now list? Cause we could add that to that list. I was in my house, like it seems cheesy, but it's like, you know, like a list, like this is things that we wish we could do if we had money, more volunteers and time. And we hear you say you wish you had something else, but we're tapped financially, like.
We raise more money than any
Exactly.
arts commission ever.
But I'm pretty sure any commission, so.
So that's what I'm saying, like we've been working to do it. I mean, is that kind of turtly of me to say, like, I don't know if I'm ready to like spend that money that we worked so hard on to replace that when there's so many other things that we've talked about, like in line. Like, I love city council, but like. Yeah, like,
Especially when they push back on the 1% per art, so.
I guess I just feel like that's a thing, but also like getting.
Well, 1% only applies if they're building.
Right. Yeah.
Right, but
And we got the 1%, they got the flowers, but there's not gonna be any new buildings for some time.
I
So
think
we can't-
it's a really good idea to suggest that if we had a budget, we could preserve the public art that we have at the moment, in addition to creating new ones. What if something goes wrong with the flowers, like down around there?
So for the Parks Department has paid probably about over $10,000 in additional maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes to our department.
We make a article later this week.
Oh.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's
Got the big stuff to get.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, we will come back to these conversation pieces, they are all very good. Scheduled business. A6, the award nominations. So I know that there was a few pages of award nominations, so I sent in quite a few for events and one for individual, and then Lisa and Madeline both content colors across several pages. At least that the Madeline both nominated Stephanie Lowe under the individual award. So if you're all,
Aye.
with that,
So did I.
Yeah.
I turned
Yeah.
in a nomination.
Yeah, we got it.
Put it in the packet there.
Yeah, it's here.
Absolutely agree.
that's it, okay. We have. Not like we've only a single nomination for either category, so I would say, let's do individual groups, knock it out, because there's only two nominations there. Well, two nominated, there's two people that nominated Stephanie and nominated Eileen. So, just sort of, did you, anybody take a look at the packet in advance to read through all of these? Is there any discussion about how we make this choice, or any discussion about the individual nominations?
We'll review the.
Well, I was just gonna ask, like, since one person got two nominations, but the other person only got one nomination just based on nominations. Should they get it, or should we do it, is the two that you nominated that we vote on? How many times can I say nominated? Okay, I've never been.
Obviously, more nominations means there's people that strongly support that person.
Right. Okay.
Not enough to have, like, if not like everybody's nominated the same person.
Right, okay, that, I just didn't, that was like a thing for the process.
So we're admitting this as we go. We need to unfortunately get it chosen at this meeting so that we can have it ready to do it at our upcoming presentation. So.
When is that presentation?
October 21st at 4 p.m.
Actually gonna go ahead and just,
Not the council meeting.
it's a work session, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, what I suggested was that we have two categories, one for an individual contributing, public access to the arts in some way. It could be, you know, that they. Yeah,
Right.
public mural piece or whatever, and kind of broadly using our mission statement to keep us focused on, and then the thing they kind of group. I just wanted to broaden the individuals category, and I think it'd be useful to have the group category. There's sometimes some things are hard to point to, such as the massive effort that it takes for the Albany Community Theater to put on the youth camp. It's not one person that I know of that does it in a very big group, and so it would be the whole of theirs. I mean, I don't think it's fair to have them competing against the mural. But that's really the delineations that there's, yeah.
I would just point out the Albany Artist Circle is Stephanie Lowe.
And that's not true.
Oh.
Albany Artist Circle is a group of artists.
Okay.
It's ran by. They actually came to that meeting.
Yeah.
The
But
artist.
then, I just so you know, they're not a legal name, they're not registered in the state of Oregon, their only presence is on Facebook. So I just want to be clear about where,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So. Is there other clarifying information we need on kind of that process? I think what we do is we would each of us would look at the nominations that were submitted
Mhm.
for each category, and then we'll cast a vote essentially. It'll be maybe a little harder on the event group since there's more of them, but we'll do our best.
And we're choosing one for each category.
Yes, I think each commissioner should choose one for each category, and then we will. Yes, one overall. winner.
Yes, okay. And how are we voting? What is our process for that?
Kim, do you have any recommendations from like how HRC handles their nominations and votes for awards? I know they do awards and you're also over them.
It's just that you get one vote, you raise your hand, so it would, I would say, who wants Eileen Hinkle? You raise your hand, who wants Stephanie Lau? Majority wins.
Okay.
So yeah, all right, so we'll call for discussion on each one, I guess, just so for the as categories. So is there any discussion on the individual categories that anybody would like to present?
I would like to hear from the people who have nominated each individual and just hear in their own words what they have to say about the individuals.
Stephanie Lau.
Stephanie Lowe, so she did organize, the art walk and the, visiting of the artist studios.
Okay.
She also put on the, group show, the community art show that was here.
Right.
She was the guy there, because I mean, there were 23 artists. And I didn't have to coordinate them, she did it,
Okay.
so.
Who else nominated?
Maddie, did you want to add anything on Stephanie?
Yeah, oops, sorry. Am I muted? Sorry, no.
No, we can hear you.
Okay, so I just wanted to add, even though I wrote the paragraph about Stephanie that you're welcome to read, Carolyn.
Yeah, I did.
She has been a long-standing member of the community for creativity for years, not just with us, but with all kinds of things. And she has visions and creativity and ideas. And like I said, one door might close on her because she can't get it off the ground. And she's persistent, she doesn't quit. And that might be annoying to some people, but it also gets things done when everybody goes, no, sorry, no, oh, I can't help, oh, sorry. And there she is. And somehow she's pulled it together. And she's not getting paid for any of this. And she's also very humble about her contributions. When I was talking to her and Rob at one of our receptions, I think it was the first one, and the group show maybe. And I said, Stephanie, your photography should be in here because she's a great photographer. She's very creative. And she goes, oh, no. And she just,
that conversation.
yeah, just very a humble person. And I think she deserves it. That's just me.
Hinkle, she is the muralist. She has been paid for some work, but I believe she's contributed 3 murals to the city, which I mean is the first major art project that are kind of permanent installations that I became aware of in quite a few years, at least since I joined the commission. She, besides the chamber commissioning her for a massive mural that she did, which is just a gorgeous piece, and a prime location to have her. She did go and seek her own grant to fund adding murals and sought out businesses that would give her space and brightening up areas of town that are not traditionally viewed as artistic areas of town. I mean, it's right along the railroad track at a random spot when you're driving down Sackett. And just suddenly have this nice mural just pop up. That's the sort of thing that we're hoping to see more of in Albany to encourage people to enjoy the arts and stuff. I think that she's a very strong candidate for the award. Okay. So we'll take a vote, and we'll start with, it's me and Eileen. We'll start with Eileen. All in favor of Eileen, raise your hand or say aye.
Hi.
In favor of 70 same. It's 3-3. Where's Wanda? Okay.
We go to awards on our inaugural year?
Can we do that?
Maybe whatever.
Well, it's,
You're doing how, doing that.
Hey, Keith, what about if we just, maybe we don't do a group one for this first one and we just do the two individuals?
Technically, since Stephanie's a part of the Albany Artist Circle, would that be?
I don't know what her involvement is. If somebody else knows.
The artist circle for that reason.
Yeah.
Anybody that did ours, sort of probably are beside me. Okay, so.
mean-
It's, she's not running it, she just. Okay, it's two other ladies here too. Okay.
We'll work on two. You and I'll get on that, we'll work on black.
Why don't you drop the event group one then? Just doing two individuals.
It's just a great event, yeah. So are we then having them share the individual award? Is that what's? I don't think they should share it, I think they put it to. Here, and it was a tie, and so.
Yeah.
that was it, yeah.
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 I like it. Yeah. Well, but then all of us still have the event.
Yes.
Yeah, we're in group. Yes.
Oh,
Everyone on board.
yeah. Parks budget will love that, right?
You could, my whole line art is all over. So, me too. Wait, then do we need to have a motion that we share the individual award between the two of them?
Great, so we have the event group and we'll just lay it out together. Yeah, so we've got decisions for everything. So for the event group, I was the only person who nominated, and I believe.
I forgot to do my homework, I'm sorry, let me get this list straight, this is why.
You nominated everybody that I would have nominated.
Yep. I presented the list at the last meeting and I felt like nobody else has got a good list. Okay. Present them very quickly. So Gallery California, I hope that it speaks for itself. They have persevered for over a decade at this point, I believe, and the town was pretty barren of art. Including hosting First Friday, and they honestly got the downtown to get involved with it through just sheer effort and constant hosting First Friday events. On their own, was the only business open late on a Friday night for years. But I think that for their First Friday downtown event and dragging that on makes them a deserving group. The Albany Artist Circle, we've kind of talked about it, it sounds like we are not actually interested, so I'm not going to put a whole lot of time. The downtown block party, I know this is a bit of a different one and a bit of a stretch, but they are on their third annual year of providing a free performance to the community. They want to bring that live performance, they bring a major live performance, and it's not funded through the city, which is just kind of an amazing thing for the business to do. They brought that POD to perform this year and it had hundreds of people coming out for a live event, so it's just kind of amazing. And that is the owners of the Greyhound Taverns that do that. Then this is a smaller group and not one that gets publicized a whole lot, but the Lynn Benton Student Poet. So they have a poetry club at Lynn Benton, and the LBCC has actually started to have I think the only student poet laureate for a community college in the state. They're definitely the first, potentially the only one in the state still. And so this was kind of an amazing thing, and they send that poet around to do presentations, and I tried to get them to, I tried to get them to come present with us at some point, but it just wasn't, because it is a student, so it's an amazing program. Albany Civic Theater, been around for 30
A long time.
Yeah. The big individual event that they host, been growing over the last couple of years is the youth camp and the annual children's play, and they had over 100 children apply to be in it. They could only put 60-ish on stage, which is just, it speaks to the demand for theater in the community, and it's amazing that they provide to get those kids in, to help teach them theater. And then the last one is the Albany Carousel. I know they've done that at least 2 years now, but it's called Carving the Future. I'm excited at the beautiful things that the carousel provide. They teach a high school program that they offer for free because they get funding from outside. To teach the art of it's a very unique experience that these high schoolers don't typically get anymore. Day and age. So that is a quick rundown, and it's just basically regurgitating whatever, but and then there's so many of them that are so deserving, it is going to be difficult, I know that, but it's just how it goes. Some of them can come up again, future years, that's something. So everybody get one vote. You can vote one, and I'm just gonna go down the list as it's written. Unless there's any additional questions or discussion about any of the nominees.
This is really hard to choose one.
Yeah, you get one vote. We're gonna be starting with that. So you can go down the line, you may want to close your eyes, you can other people in. Everybody in favor of Gallery Calipudia, say aye or raise your hand. Okay. Everybody in favor, we're skipping up the circle, everybody in favor of downtown block party, raise your hands. Okay. Everybody in favor of this, the LB student poet laureate, raise your hand.
Me,
Okay. Everybody in favor of the Albany Civic Theater, raise your hands. Okay. And everybody that voted, we are going to not do the carousel. So there was 4 in favor of the Albany Civic Theater, 1 for the LB Student Poet Laureate, and 1 for Gallery Calipudia.
I love the LB student poet laureate, and I also think that that's only kids at LBCC, and I like the reach of like more, so I just have to say that, and I also love the carousel.
Yes.
Yeah.
The kids students.
there's a couple reasons. I know we've already voted, but can I just speak to the LB Student Poet Laureate program? Is that poetry gets a bad rap.
Yeah.
And you know, it's one of the hardest art forms actually to make a living at, or haha, again, that's in parentheses, but to be known or to pursue it or to be taken seriously. And the fact that this program is actually encouraging their students to do this and to have them go out into the community. And it's not widely known. And these other groups, as much as I love them, you know, the Civic Theater, the Albany Carousel, these are places that are always getting recognized and recognition. So I'm hoping that maybe in the future, we can consider some of our criteria as choosing programs that perhaps are not awarded as much attention. It's just my thought.
Absolutely, and I would say you can certainly, in future years, make strong arguments before we vote, just. Okay.
The LB student poet laureate, can we call them the runner-up? Give them.
Then we don't do.
Okay.
One vote.
She approved. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, unfortunately, there was 2 people that got 2 of these on.
Okay, never mind. I withdraw my question.
What the group is, for all those folks that we nominated, should we or could we send them a letter to let them know they were nominated?
I love that. Yep.
So that way, I'm confident none of them have any idea this.
No.
Nobody watches these meetings.
Nope.
So letting them know that we at least.
I like that, Keith.
Selected.
That's good.
Thank you. So Kim handled that for us.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
No problem.
And yeah, we could always try to write something or something at the next meeting if you prefer, or that way you can do it.
We'll figure it out.
Okay. Okay, that piece of business, we're attending,
Can we get a nomination for the slate?
yes.
Pretty much.
So for the slate of award winners, maybe we should put it forward as an actual motion. So would anybody like to motion to award?
I would like to motion to award Eileen Hinkle and Stephanie Lowe for the individual award and the Albany Civic Theater for the group award.
Okay, have a motion in seconds. Call for discussion. Okay. All in favor, say aye. Those say no. Okay. Thank you. Good reminder. So moving on quickly to schedule business 5-7. Final review of the calendar presentation. So I did not put in the other presentation, but the information people have sent me are going to practice. Okay. So you can see like Maddie can paint for pure hours that she's put in. I believe that's what you put in for the total.
That's what you put.
That's what you put in, okay. I don't know if anybody else knows what their volunteer hours look like or.
I can guesstimate.
Do we want every month meet for me to bring in a clipboard now and pass it around and everybody write how many volunteer hours they've done in the last month?
Yeah.
I can figure.
Okay, well, we have some of this week first, so you gotta get them to Kim so she can get them.
I also a lot.
Yeah.
Call it 20.
And then the Maddie did include a very nice page of some like what summarizing 2022 to 2022. Sorry. That's Lisa. Summarizing some of the kind of big things, so like the gallery at City Hall exhibited over 100 artists during that period of time, about 2 years. You know, and how much that is an improvement over past years, or would it be, you know, 6-ish groups of people, so maybe it doesn't matter. We moved
8, 9.
by the time that we get there, we got the money, we started in May.
Oh, we started June.
You know, with it.
We started in May, I believe.
6.
Yeah, so maybe it would be 6 by the time we get there. And I don't know if it's in the package, but I didn't know that we were sent the number of how much money we raised.
Is that at the end?
Yes.
How much?
I don't remember.
I think it was,
Let's see if I would.
I think it's 4,000 million. Sorry.
Let me see what I signed.
So,
The sale of art and.
yeah, and there was a breakdown of like this, but it was much we've gotten from just like our fundraising efforts going into the community and like sales.
Fundraising balance from Antiques in the Streets, Maddie's birthday party, Lynn County Flea Market, Pride and reception donations totals $1,534. Grants, $3,200 that we've received, $1,500 of it's going back, but I still haven't heard from our public services, so there might still be a light at the end of the tunnel. Number of art sales in the last year, 12 sales totaling $900. And 226 people over the first 5 shows, averages 45.2 people. Yes.
So this is all information we'll be presenting. Lisa did wrote up a very nice thing that kind of summarizes what we were founded for, and then talks about the need for us to get a budget line item. It doesn't have to be huge, but if we want to start to catch up. I am curious, Lisa, where you got some of the information pieces in public art and things like that.
Well, I went to the city's websites
Okay.
and looked that way. And then here in town, though, I just counted because. And then read articles about like what Sweet Home is doing. Sweet Home, though, what they're doing is allowing, putting it out there for artists to do murals, but they're not gonna pay them.
Mhm.
So I don't know about Sweet Home, you know, however that plays out.
Yeah. But I think those are some really interesting numbers to point out. I do think the public art pages for Albany is low, because I can think of at least six in downtown, not even starting to go look at.
Well, now, good to discuss what the definition of
Yeah.
public art. And, you know, because if it was a privately commissioned piece, is that still public art? Or do we care about that, or I don't know, so.
So if the chamber.
I,
I wouldn't think it would be
Because
funded,
it was
Well, it wasn't funded by the chamber.
yeah, but so the 9 is just city funded?
So it's not counting the internal gallery in the collection,
no,
even though it's city funded.
even though it could be counted. But they were donated, but whatever, yeah. So you might have to be positive.
Well, I just want to be careful, because we
Yeah.
get pushback, because there might be counselors that. There's more than that. So we can be very clear about how we define. So that they don't.
Like we can read each of these.
Yeah, we can-
Like, yeah.
Why are we counting things like the chamber mural or maybe Hinkle's other mural that she did that she funded through the ABC grants, like. Or we can that, then we don't do the gallery Calabria statue that they got, but.
That they, I don't know that one either, I mean, I know.
if the city maintains it, so it's public.
What the city maintains.
Yeah.
I don't know, that the question to answer is public art that's been funded by the city or the state, or is it anything that's art?
So the website that I talked about at the end of last meeting, that tracks public. We could add public art pieces to it, doesn't particularly care, it's mostly looking at what is available broadly, so like the chamber mural would count, it is public, it is available to the all times. We note on the form that it's owned and managed by the chamber, but if it was under that website, it would fall. It's public art.
They're counting, because you go through Lake Oswego,
These are
and
just what was available online on the city's website.
So this is what, that's the version that is around.
Yeah, okay,
That's the definition.
except for,
Each city
all right,
listed the number of ways, so how do you?
I counted, but you count.
On our city website? No.
I'm curious what nine you came up with that are city.
I'll have to think about it,
Okay.
and I'll let you know,
So
so.
we're presenting it.
I figured myself.
Okay, I would be available to assist if needed. We'll be there any day.
Any additional bodies in the audience that are available?
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Then it's gonna be one of the two or.
We still have to go through some artists here.
motion approved.
Second.
I looked at them.
We have a motion and a second.
All right.
I did.
Wait, all right.
Wait, no. I did.
All right. You did the last time too, all right, a nice work.
Discussion. You have a point, the third, I guess, it's other work that we can actually review. I mean, even if.
Oh, that is, Bobby Castile, she is here every year, she's technically already been reviewed and approved. She just resubmitting her application, Bobby does a lot, actually, Bobby sees a fair amount of sales, because her pieces are priced like fixed to like $30, and so. She's 87. Yeah, he's already on here.
87. That's amazing. Okay.
All right, that answers my question. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we vote to approve the list in the packet. All in favor, say aye. No, nobody opposed. All right, approved. Business remembered. Anybody else?
I have one thing, there is a upcoming play at West that they did a terrible job of letting people know about. Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m. and 2 p.m. on Saturday, and it's a radio show. And that's coming up. Also, Albany's Theater is doing Evil Dead, the musical right now, and it is highly inappropriate, but a package, and anybody's looking for. Just those are a couple things happening.
Awesome. Thank you.
No, nothing.
Maddie, anything? Yep.
Just want to invite you to accept you're going to be busy Friday, November 1st. To come to the Art Center. There is our artist reception from 5 to 7 p.m. But it's also open on Saturday, the show, and it should be good. There's 9 artists there.
Where's it?
Corvallis Art Center, because Albany doesn't have one.
What's that?
That'd be the Corvallis Art Center, because Albany
Yes,
doesn't
the
have one.
Corvallis. But
Just
I'd
wanna
love
make
to
that
see you
clear.
there.
Okay, that'll be good. I think we're gonna need to have a discussion about whether we have the appropriate time. If we're taking an hour and a half, it's not working for people. Do we need to change what we need? Is that an option?
What do you mean?
Something to discuss maybe. But if we're pushing against people going to pick up their kid, do we need to see if there's a better time to meet?
Oh,
Since we take routinely, yeah,
do we need to meet more frequently?
or do we need to be able to get things, that option?
I would say along administratively, 1 meeting a month is good. Like, I would say a longer meeting would be better than 2. Oh. Okay, literally.
I didn't want to interrupt, so sorry, but there's a union meeting supposed to be.
Are we supposed to be?
Are you convening a meeting here? Or
We are
Yeah, congratulations.
adjourning.
adjourning? Okay, thank you.
And thanks, Maddie.
Bye.
I got that. Someone bought that.
Yeah.